Hello, everyone. It's Wednesday, September the 1st. Very regretfully, I've got to tell you that we've lost 32 people since Monday. It's unbelievable. I told you when I was here with you Monday, I told you when I was here with you Friday and Wednesday of last week, and on and on and on, that until we really make up our mind to run to the fire and get vaccinated, there's going to be more die. Maybe lots more die. These people are in a lottery to themselves. We've given away a lot of incredible prizes all across our state trying to incentivize people to get vaccinated. We call it Do for Baby Dog. And we're going to continue to try to do so because everyone we get vaccinated may very well be a life we're saving. But at the same time, and we're doing it with dollars that the federal government is just giving us and incentivizing us to do just that. But at the same time, those people are in a drawing to themselves, as I've said many times, for really special prizes, and they've been vaccinated. But there's another drawing going on. There's a drawing going on every time I come in front of you, and that's the death drawing. And if you're not vaccinated, there's an awfully good chance that you're in the death drawing. 32 of them have won today, and it's terrible. It is an absolute crying shame. It takes our total number of deaths in West Virginia to 3,106, and it is a shame. It is a shame beyond belief. You know, before I go any further and start reading these names or these people, I want to tell you just this. Kenny Bass today's his birthday, and we wish Kenny the happiest birthday in the world. But he took the time to put this list together, and I want you to look. This list is all here and all here. It's pretty much single spaced, and there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's about 7 towns and cities on every line, every single line. 7 towns and cities across this state, and he put this together this way. And what he's illustrating is every single one of those towns. What if we had to report that every single person in every one of those towns, what if we reported that, pick a place, pick one of them, it doesn't matter. Nutter Fort, Petersburg, Cedar Grove, Rupert, Mitchell Heights, Itman, Whitesville. What if we picked one of those places and said every single person in that community had died? The news would be unbelievable, wouldn't it? Every single one of these communities, we have had more deaths in this state than the population of every single one of these communities by themselves. It's unbelievable. 3,106 deaths. The only way that we know on the planet that we can get out of this is get vaccinated. We wish Kenny a happy birthday. He's trying to incentivize any and everybody that he can possibly incentivize to go get vaccinated. I'm trying to do the same thing. The 3,075th death in this state is a 78-year-old male from Fayette County. The 3,076th death is a 64-year-old female from Upshur County. The 3,077th death is a 94-year-old male from Putnam County. The 3,078th death is a 65-year-old male from Randolph County. The 3,079th death, an 87-year-old male from Preston County. The 3,080th death, a 66-year-old male from Berkeley County. The 3,081st death is an 80-year-old female from Logan County. The 3,082nd death is a 57-year-old male from Logan County. The 3,083rd death is a 67-year-old, sorry. Let me back up. The 3,082nd death is a 57-year-old male from Logan County. The 3,083rd death is a 67-year-old male from Logan County. The 3,084th death is an 84-year-old male from Pocahontas County. The 3,085th death is a 79-year-old male from Wetzel County. The 3,086th death is a 69-year-old male from Putnam County. The 3,087th death is a 58-year-old female from Randolph County. The 3,088th death is an 81-year-old male from Kanawha County. The 3,089th death is a 74-year-old female from Mercer County. The 3,090th death is a 74-year-old female from Barber County. The 3,091st death is a 59-year-old male from Putnam County. The 3,092nd death is a 58-year-old male from Webster County. The 3,093rd death is a 48-year-old male from Lewis County. The 3,094th death is a 73-year-old female from Hampshire County. The 3,095th death is an 89-year-old female from Jefferson County. The 3,096th death is a 68-year-old female from Marshall County. The 3,097th death is a 53-year-old male from Monongalia County. Now get this. The 3,098th death is a 34-year-old male from Monroe County. The 3,099th death is a 41-year-old male from Marion County. The 3,100th death is an 82-year-old male from Mercer County. The 3,101st death is a 68-year-old male from Wood County. The 3,102nd death is a 72-year-old male from Boone County. The 3,103rd death is an 83-year-old male from Monongalia County. The 3,104th death is a 77-year-old female from McDowell County. The 3,105th death is a 78-year-old male from Mercer County. The 3,106th death in West Virginia is another 34-year-old, a 34-year-old male from Randolph County. You got to help me. You got to help me get the people vaccinated. It's the only way out of this. And this thing is doing anything but getting better. It continues to get worse. And absolutely, as long as we still have a significant population that's unvaccinated, it's going to continue to get worse. We have 1,466 new cases since I was with you the last time. Our daily positivity rate is at 9.54. The cumulative rate at 5.22. Active number of cases now are 17,664. We have 647 people hospitalized and 202 in the ICU units, and probably when we're updated just in the next few minutes, that number will be higher. We have 2 yellow counties and 1 gold county, and everything else is orange and red. Our school outbreaks, we have 46 outbreaks in 24 counties, and 26 of our 55 counties have now declared masks for K through 12. The reminder over and over is if you're 65 and older and you have any symptom, to go get a test, and the antibodies will probably save your life. Our hospitalizations, from the standpoint of those that are unvaccinated, we're recording that 18% of those that are there, 74% of the deaths are unvaccinated. It's daggone. Everything in the world tells us to go, absolutely go get vaccinated. We have high water a lot of places in West Virginia, and a state of emergency now in all 55 counties, from this tropical depression or hurricane that came through Ida. We're kind of looking for real trouble right now in the central, northern, and eastern West Virginia. Overnight we had flooding in southern West Virginia, especially in Clay County. Huntington is doing okay now that the water, the rain and everything has moved past Huntington, and we have our swift water rescue teams that are ready, and they're moving on the move right now to the Eastern Panhandle, and our director is with us right now. Our deputy director Greg Fuller is with us. And I think he's going to talk with us right now. So let's listen to Greg.
State of West Virginia, at your orders. We've been continuously monitoring the situation across the state. We just finished, prior to my being able to come on here with you, sir, a weather briefing from the National Weather Service and a meeting with all of the emergency managers across all the counties of the state, sir. As to reinforce what you said, we are getting some damage reports coming in from the central part of the state. Our National Guard partners have certainly pre-positioned those assets throughout the state, and particularly we're particularly concerned about the Eastern Panhandle now as we continue to monitor the situation. Yesterday, upon your order, sir, when you signed the emergency declaration, we moved the Emergency Operations Center here from a partial activation to a full activation, and we were able to bring in our partners, agencies. We've got folks here from our voluntary organizations active in disaster. We've got folks here from highways. We've got folks been involved from DHHR. All of the partner agencies across the state and our federal partners. That full activation brought in a federal presence from our federal coordinating officer and those persons who work with him so that we have that federal connection should there be any resources needed.
Okay, Greg, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I know you'll stay on top of it, and we'll all be, we'll stand in the wings and be ready to help any way and every way we can. We really appreciate what you're doing. You've done great work, and so please stay on top of it, because you know what can happen in West Virginia with rainfall, that's for sure. Thank you again.
Thank you, Governor. We'll continue to do that. Director McCabe has ordered the center to continue to be staffed here until the threat has completely exited the state of West Virginia.
That's good news. Good news. Again, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody there. Okay, we got another announcement. We just got in our August revenue numbers. The state of West Virginia continues just to percolate along and do absolutely wonderful. If you'll think back a few years back, we had doom and gloom, and all I continue to do is just report to you good number after good number. We came in at 29.9 million. I think that's the number, 29.9 million above estimate. And so the surplus now for 2 months is in excess of $58 million. It continues from the standpoint of all different sectors, whether it be personal income tax collections or sales taxes, or even our severance tax has really grown. And the only thing I would tell you is just the state is doing wonderful. We're on really rock solid ground, and we're just going to keep building on it as we go. I said earlier, I was speaking with Metro News, but in looking at all the different metrics and everything, I 2 different times on State of the States, I've come in and told you that we should tier, the severance tax on coal and tier the severance tax on gas and oil. 2 different times I've brought that to the people, and both times we ended up shooting it down. I absolutely wanted it in a way that when things were really tough on those industries, because we love those industries in every way, when things were really tough, we wanted to absolutely reward and help them through the tough times. But when things were unbelievably good. Unbelievably good. We asked them maybe at that point in time they could throw a little bit extra in the collection plate and they wouldn't even realize it or it wouldn't even know it. Well, that's where we are. And that's where we are right now. And those collections, maybe, just maybe, if we'd have been able to throw those in the collection plate, it may have been the solve all for PEIA going forward. We may have been able to bank enough dollars to absolutely put us on a pathway to just absolutely solve the PEIA issues. So we want pricing for our coal and our natural gas and oil to continue to be strong. And we want every coal miner and gas and oil worker that we can possibly get out to work and everything. We want that employment to continue to go and continue to rise and everything. And we won't cry over spilled milk, but boy, what an opportunity we missed. But nevertheless, great numbers again in the state of West Virginia. And I hope to goodness that, that we report and we talk about our great numbers, because as we do so, we just attract more and more people that want to come to this great state and be in on the opportunities that are happening and that are happening here every day. Going back to vaccine distribution update and everything, we're at 91.4% of those 65 and older. We're at 85.1 that have, that are 50 and older that have their first dose, and we've crossed 72%. We're at 72.1% of all 12 and older that have had at least one shot. And let me see here. We had 20. See, this is what I mean. This is not any good. We had 2,800 people since our last briefing that got vaccinated. That's not enough. That's nowhere close to enough. And I just read, I can't recall exactly what it was, but of the 32 people that died, I just read 3 or 4 that were under the age of 50. The folks that are under 50, there's still a great big variant or delta there, if you want to call it that, of the percentage that have been vaccinated, that we need to move up into the percentages that are close to that of 50. We got a long ways to go there. A long, long ways to go with our younger people. I just don't understand. I really don't understand how something that all of the officials are looking at you and saying, this vaccine is really safe, and for all practical purposes, it's virtually harmless to you. And for all we know that the information that I have received from the medical community, and there's conflicting information all over the place all the time. But here's the whole straight skinny. If you get this shot, you're going to probably have immunity that is going to really safeguard you and safeguard others around you. It's so safe, it is unbelievable. The other thing is you can bet on things like natural immunities. And if you haven't had COVID and you're wanting to get COVID so you can build in natural immunities, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. But you can absolutely bet on the fact that it's not going to happen to me. And when one of the top-ranking Trump officials the other day, I don't know, it was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, came out and said that in his estimation that everybody, imagine this, I don't believe this, but this was his statement, I think, that Dr. Marsh reported, that everybody that has not been vaccinated will end up with the Delta variant. Now, I don't really believe that, but I'm telling you, all across the board, whether it be President Trump, Jim Justice, whether it be the current administration, no matter whom it may be, everybody is encouraging you to get vaccinated. And we know this, that if you don't, I just read 32 off today. When I roll back in here, in the next few days, it'll be more and more and more. And it's just going to keep on going exactly that way. You don't need to die, and you don't need to get sick to make a point. Absolutely, you do not need to have that happen. We're ready to go on the booster shots. We're still awaiting approval from the White House or the CDC to be able to go. The moment that we're able to go, we'll let you know, and we'll be in full motion that day. West Virginia got out of the gate. We led the nation, and I want us to continue to lead the nation with the booster shots, but I just can't get approval as of yet. From the standpoint of the Do It for Baby Dog Round 2 sweepstakes, we'll be out on Thursday giving those away. We're giving away scholarships to our kids, which is fantastic. You know, we're giving away lots of stuff that is maybe more appealing to the younger folks. We're giving away a sports car. We're giving away a dream wedding. We're giving away free gas and season tickets to WVU and Marshall games and season lift tickets and everything. Get yourself registered. Get registered right now. There's only 160,000 registered right now. The chances of you winning something really big are big and everything right now. So go get yourself registered as quickly as you possibly can. And if you've already been registered, just sit back. You're in the catbird seat as far as the potential to win. As far as face coverings, I am not in a position right now. I do not believe that we need to move as far as a mask mandate or other mandates right now. But I highly encourage you, if you're 65 and older especially, and you're going into a building or a big crowd, you'd probably be very, very wise, whether you've been vaccinated or not, to absolutely wear a mask. Let me just say one more thing on that. I don't really believe that the mask will completely protect you because of all the knowledge that the medical community has given me, but it absolutely makes your odds better. And so with that, the vaccine eligibility 12 and above and the natural immunity stuff is great. And it may even pan out that it does protect you. But right now, for what we know, the shot won't hurt. And absolutely on top of that, it will make it better. It will give you stronger immunities. And absolutely without any question, we believe, the medical community believes, that there's not enough evidence to take away the fact that having the vaccine does help you far more than the natural immunities. From the standpoint of our young people, I reach out to our grandparents and everything and our parents to ask you to please help me get them vaccinated. You know, all the information's up on our vaccine, info line about all the COVID stuff. From the standpoint of encouraging you to get tested, I say it all the time, it's free. We thank Fruits, we thank Walgreens. We have 48 outbreaks in our long-term care facilities. We're down a little bit in our churches. We only have 4 in 4 counties. That's Barber, Doddridge, Taylor, and Wayne counties. We now have 104 inmates that are infected and 46 staff cases. I encourage you all the time about giving blood. And 2 other things real quick. I made an announcement about our grand families, rewarding our grand families with a $150 school voucher for the kids and everything. And all kids 12 and older, that the grand families will help us get those people vaccinated and everything. It will really be a great move for the grand family, for the grandparents. It'll be a great move for that family and everything. And the slogan is, we are saving our wisdom and we're also saving those of our future. We'll begin registration on Tuesday, September the 7th for these $150 school vouchers, and we want to give a bunch of them away and everything. I guess the thing that was brought to my attention, in the last briefing is just this, is Bonnie said, that if really there's 19,000 kids with the grandparents right now in these grand families. What in the world would we do if we lose the grandparents to this dreaded disease? What would we lose? What would we do? 19,000 kids, absolutely, we've really got to get these kids vaccinated. We've got to get the grandparents, any grandparents that are not vaccinated, we have got to be able to protect these families and help them in every way. So I salute, General Hoyer. It's a great idea, and we just want to continue to move forward, on that in every way. The last announcement that I've got is just this, in regard to, these are VAWA grants that we gave away or that we're giving away today. The grants total $1,085,964 in the Stop Violence Against Women grants or program, and these grants are grant funds to 26 different projects all across West Virginia. The purpose of these funds is to establish or enhance teams whose core members include victim service providers, law enforcement, and prosecution to improve the criminal justice system's response to violence against women. The people who commit these terrible crimes against women need to be held accountable, and it is my hope and prayer that they will be held and brought to justice. So with all that being said, a full list of the grants are all up on the website. I'm not going to go through each and every one of those. And that's all I've got for right now. Again, happy birthday, Kenny, and thanks for, putting this little narrative together with all these cities and communities across our state. It's unbelievable to think every one of those cities and towns, and good gracious, I don't know how many there is but there's 6 on every line. Can you just imagine that every one of those towns has less people than we have in total deaths in this state right now to COVID. And in other words, if one of those towns, everybody in the whole town, every single person in the town died, they would not total in that one town what our total deaths are in the state right now from COVID. It's tragic. It's tragic beyond belief. That's all I got.
All right, thank you, Governor. Let's now go to retired Major General Jim Hoyer, the director of our Joint Interagency Task Force.
Good morning. I also want to wish Kenny happy birthday. And Kenny, I appreciate your work over the years, particularly as I managed the RISE program to get folks back in homes. You always pressed me and kept me honest to make sure we were doing the best we could, the quickest we could to get things done for people. I'd like to take a couple minutes with data to reinforce what the governor is talking about and why it's so important. Jordan, if you could put up the hospital graph, please.
It's coming, sir. It's coming.
Okay. So look at the numbers today. Just updated, just came in. So now at 670 hospitalizations. But here's the important thing for West Virginia to understand. Secretary Crouch and I were just talking about this. Of those numbers, 200 are in the ICU. Our peak point, as the secretary pointed out to me this morning, was January 6th at 219 ICU patients. So we're almost there. But the other thing that really is challenging us, and we're working hard with the governor to manage this, is we are already up to 109 on ventilators. And prior in the last surge, our peak was 104 on January 10th. I read an article this morning about one of the southern states, those 5 states with a significant surge, very low vaccination rates, where a United States military veteran who needed medical care could not get hospital care while in transport to another state, passed away. I fully understand we all have our constitutional rights. And that veteran protected those rights. But we also have a responsibility to those just like that veteran and all the rest of us, our friends, neighbors, and family. to make sure that we take on the responsibility, as the governor points out, to go get vaccinated. His leadership team, DHHR, the Guard, volunteers, and particularly our hospital and healthcare workers have been at this for 537 days. And all the work we do to make sure now that we have enough oxygen, enough beds, enough staff, it all comes down to getting vaccinated, West Virginia. So this weekend, throughout the rest of this week, there are 76 plus clinics going on across the state of West Virginia. You can go to a pharmacy, you can go to your primary care provider, you can go to a federally qualified health clinic and get vaccinated. That is the only way we are going to be able to manage this going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll go to Dr. Ayn Amjad, our state health officer.
Good morning. I do want to go over a little bit about at-home COVID testing. You can buy those at local pharmacies. And I just want to remind people that if you are going to do an at-home testing kit, that these are not reported to the local health department. So you can use them and they are useful and valid. But once you take those tests, if it's positive, we do recommend that you self-isolate at home. But we also want to remind you that those are not used to self-quarantine yourself for maybe your job, or if you're going to use it to travel. So if you take those at-home testing kits, your health department or someone at your job may require you to do another test, but they are useful, they are accurate. But if you're positive, to self-isolate at home, and then also contact anyone that's been within you in the last 2 days to let them know that you're also positive on those tests. But just want to remind everyone that those are available, but they're also, you need to let your health department know, and they might ask you to do another test. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amjad. Secretary Bill Crouch with the DHHR is also joining us today and is available for questions. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today from Kenny Bass with WCHS and Fox 11.
Thank you for taking my question. Thank you, Governor, Justice, and General Hoyer, for your kind words. Unfortunately, add another city to the list, Governor, with the new death toll of 3,106 West Virginians who've died from COVID-related causes since the beginning of the pandemic. That's greater now than the population of Kingwood. So Kingwood is now added to that very long and sad list of communities we would have lost totally had that virus hit that community. I have a question for General Hoyer about Regeneron. Florida has been at the center of this pandemic for a lot of reasons, both being criticized and both being lauded for the way the state has handled it. But one thing they've done that I've become aware of, and I've done a little bit of research on, just really getting started, about these mobile sites that they've opened across Florida for monoclonal antibody administration, where they're getting away from the IV introduction of that into being able to put it into a shot for people who are ill and could maybe mitigate some of those circumstances and some of those symptoms. Has there been any thought here in West Virginia to opening, just another thing for you to look at, for you to do, for opening some of these mobile or transitory sites where, if your doctor recommends and if you are at the state where you need them, that people could more easily get these monoclonal antibodies, which could help them fight against the more harsher aspects of COVID? Thank you.
General, please go.
So Kenny, that's a great point, and Dr. Amjad has been leading the effort on our monoclonal antibody efforts, and she has been working with the task force folks. And in addition to some mobile capabilities that we already have, she's been working with Dr. Capehart from the pharmacy board. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Amjad and let her tell you about the various outlets that we currently have and are growing for the antibody treatment.
Thanks. Happy birthday, Kenny. But yeah, that's a good question. And actually, to that point, so right now monoclonal antibodies are available with outpatient hospitals and infusion centers. And what you're referring to, Kenny, is that Regeneron, which is the most common one, is used IV infusion right now, but it can be offered subcutaneously, so like a one shot, similar to antibiotics right now. And we are in the process of working with the interagency task force as well as pharmacies to see if we can offer it with home care agencies, pharmacies across the state. And we're in the last 2 weeks, actually, we've been trying to figure out how to do that across the state. Right now, you need a doctor's order in order to get Regeneron or monoclonal antibodies. So we're trying to see if we need to have maybe a state order, if it's necessarily from me, or if a patient can be evaluated quickly once they have a positive test and then go to either a pharmacist and have a pharmacist administer the sub-Q injection like you're referring to. We also want to see if our mobile units that offer the testing or the vaccines can have this, antibody with them and also just administer it to a patient. So everything that you're suggesting, we've been trying to start this in the past couple of weeks. We're trying to get our ducks in a row. Thanks.
Thank you, Kenny. Next, we'll go to Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Governor, could you elaborate a little bit more about what you're hearing from the federal government and the CDC folks about the possibility of authorizing the booster shots early? It's now the beginning of September. We're less than 20 days away from the Biden administration's goal for the third shots. So is what they've told you indicated that we are going to get approval? Do you think that will actually happen ahead of time? I know you guys have pushed pretty hard for that, but as we're getting close to the deadline, is that something you still expect? Thank you.
Well, Charles, let me give you an opinion first of all, and then I'm going to turn you over to General Hoyer. I wish Dr. Marsh was here because he could give us even more information, I'm sure. But General Hoyer has got an update, I think, on that. But Charles, I would just be remiss or lying to you, and I'll never ever lie about anything. But I want to be optimistic, but really a lot of the stuff that's coming, out of the Biden administration is really, really difficult. And we're not getting the feedback at all that we would hope that we would get. And it's just, it's hard for me to get past the images of what is going on in Afghanistan or what just happened in Afghanistan. And to think that I would be optimistic about getting approval on something that is a no-brainer. I mean, we absolutely should get approval right now. But the feedback thus far as that I can see, as far as the encouragement that this is going to become a reality tomorrow, unless somebody really gets off their butt and really moves, I'm not optimistic. But General Hoyer, if you could weigh in on this, please.
Yes, sir, Governor. So Charles, at the governor's direction, Dr. Marsh and I have had discussions with the White House COVID task force, with the CDC, FDA, and yesterday with the U.S. Surgeon General to press the case that we need to move faster than September 20th. I think they've taken our information. I forwarded them again this morning the latest outbreak numbers and number of outbreaks in nursing homes, and again have reinforced, Clay and I have reinforced the governor's position and our position as a leadership team that we've got to move faster. But at this point in time, as the governor points out, we don't have any definitive answer. And I think a lot of it all relates down to federal liability and without FDA approval. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Charles. Next to Mark Curtis with Nexstar Media.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning and happy birthday to my friend and esteemed colleague, Kenny Bass. I always say in the 45 years I've been in radio and television, the expose on the West Virginia State Supreme Court was one of the finest pieces of journalism I've ever seen, Kenny. So happy birthday. Enjoy it. You've earned it. I don't think you're as old as me. Anyway, here's my question to the governor, and if others want to weigh in as well. Governor, I believe you said 26 of the 55 counties in West Virginia now have a mask mandate K through 12. I'm wondering if you have concerns about cross-contamination. We have, say, football teams from Greenbrier County coming into play in Kanawha County, and various other athletic events and bands and other things going from, maybe a county that has a mask mandate to one that doesn't. And you have a hodgepodge here and the potential for cross-contamination. Why not just make it official and make all 55 counties K through 12 masked so it's more uniform and perhaps more protective? I know you want to rely on the local folks and let them make their own decisions, but we could be running into trouble here with people going from one county to another with different rules.
Well, Mark, I don't disagree with what you're saying from the standpoint of trying to make it as much local as we can. I mean, people travel whether they're in athletics or not. People travel county to county all the time and all across this state. And so I still do believe, though, that certain areas and these boards and the superintendents in these areas know their schools far better than we do here in Charleston. We get closer and closer to that situation of a mandate. I am not a proponent of that and everything from the standpoint of how I know that it would fragment many of us, and we don't need that, especially at this time. But Mark, I really still believe that this is working. It's working because people that are seeing the outbreaks and seeing their school systems are moving toward the mask, and people that don't have these issues to the level that they don't think that they need to move this way aren't moving this way. So I think it's working, but I hear what you're saying, and I can't deny what you're saying makes very good sound sense. But I want to tell you too, as you know, people travel all across the state, each and every day, and it's not just a football team; it's people traveling all across the state all the time. But the sports scene brings another challenge. We've seen that, and I'm aware of that. And again, we're just trying to skate this razor blade and hoping and praying like crazy that really, at the end of the day, that what'll happen is this variant will turn the other way and start moving in our favor. And so, the bottom line also has got to be, and it remains this way. And it remains this way constantly. And it's just this. If you're a football team and you're going to play games anywhere, tell me why in the world every single person on that football team is not vaccinated. Absolutely. Tell me why in the world we would subject our kids to any level of this. We want to go to school. We want to play sports and everything. All we've got to do is get our kids vaccinated and all those that are with our kids, and you'd protect them. And so that's the answer, Mark. The answer is vaccination. The answer is exactly what, Jim Hoyer, a great general that we had forever in the National Guard. Absolutely. Now, you just think about what he just said. He is absolutely telling everybody point blank, and I wish he could just turn loose how I know he can really turn loose. But in all of that, he is urging people beyond good sense to get vaccinated. Why in the world are we worrying about a football team that's traveling from Greenbrier County to Kanawha County or vice versa? And I don't know the game that you're referring to. But the net of the whole thing is, why aren't those kids vaccinated? We've got to encourage our kids to be vaccinated, and then we can just sleep easy at night, or surely a whole lot easier.
All right, thank you, Mark. Next to Paul Mullen with WCBC.
Good morning, Governor, and happy birthday, Kenny. I would point out that Kenny is getting more love than Baby Dog. And perhaps he ought to be part of a campaign as well called Get a Shot, Do a Shot, and go around to all the bars in West Virginia tonight. Just a thought. Anyhow, would like to ask a question about the impact of the Delta variant. Early in the pandemic, we were told that 2 out of 3 people may be asymptomatic. It seems that with Delta, that more people are symptomatic. Are there any stats to back that up? And would there be are the ramifications with Delta even more serious with the impact it's having worse than the first go around with COVID? Thank you.
Paul, I don't know what you're suggesting about Kenny, but nevertheless, I know you're doing it in jest and everything. It's good stuff to smile. You know, I really believe the good Lord gave us the ability to smile and to laugh, and this journey's tough enough. But I really don't like you saying about, you know, that Kenny's trumping baby dog here. That's for sure. And I'm only teasing there as well. But nevertheless, Dr. Amjad, maybe you can handle this question way better than I.
Yes, Governor. So, Paul, I mean, as far as the Delta variant goes, you're absolutely right. We know that it's more contagious, and you know, you've heard people say that it's similar to chickenpox as far as the contagious part goes, and as far as it being making people more sick, that's also why we're seeing these spike in cases. So, you know, you've probably seen I don't know if we necessarily had it, but other places have published graphs where you see this acute phase where people are getting really sick, and also why we're seeing these high rates of hospitalization. So I don't have necessary numbers to give you right now, but people are getting rapidly sick or symptomatic. It might last for a couple of days. So as far as feeling sick and having symptoms, I would say that people are having rapid symptoms that last for several days, and then maybe they'll get better. So this Delta virus seems to be making people get sick very quickly, and then it resolving after a few days, but it just seems to be a very, very different virus compared to what it was last year, which also might explain why we see some breakthrough cases as well. But it is just a different bug compared to what it was, but it also explains the high rate of hospitalizations and why we're saying, you know, people really need to get vaccinated because of what the acceleration that we're seeing in the last couple of days. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Paul. Next to Marley Pinchok with WSAZ.
Good morning, Governor. Every press briefing, you talk about the need for people to get vaccinated. However, we continue to see that number of unvaccinated people who are in the hospital with COVID grow. Most recently this morning, Dr. Sherry Young said 98% of the hospitalizations, both nationwide and in the Kanawha Valley, for example, are unvaccinated individuals, especially those in the ICU. Now, Governor, we're seeing colleges, hospitals, businesses, multiple entities mandate vaccinations for their employees throughout the state. Are you, Governor, going to mandate vaccinations for all state employees? And if not, why?
I don't see a need for me to move that way at this point in time. And the stats that we're referring to, you know, and I think Sherry's great. I think she does an incredible job, and she's done great work, and we're very, very supportive of one another. But in all that, you know, I don't think we've got the stats exactly right. I think the stats are a little bit, you know, out of kilter there. But nevertheless, you know, from the standpoint of mandating something, I don't think in the state of West Virginia we need to start mandating again at this point in time. You know, we have got to continue to encourage, and we're winning that battle. We're winning the battle. You know, on the first go run right out of the get-go, we had 180,000. When we started to do it for baby dog stuff, from that time till we ended it, we gained 180,000 people that we got vaccinated in West Virginia. Now, was it all due to the baby dog stuff? Well, of course not. Of course not. But through that time, keeping it right in front of everybody, we got 180,000 people. Now, there's been days here recently that we've got 5,000, 7,000. There's been days also that you're getting 1,000. We've got a long way to go. A long way to go. But as far as mandating today, I think all that would do is absolutely get us pulling in different directions with one another, and it is not, in my opinion, the thing to do right now.
All right, thank you, Marley. Governor, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, I'd go back to the general. I'd go back to the good general and just say just this. And I'd like him to repeat this because I may have missed exactly what he was saying, but I think he said this is day 537. It's hard to believe. Day 537. Well over a year. Now think about it. He also said that people that were being transported, and I believe that he said veterans, that were being transported, because of hospital overloads, they had to be transported to another place to be treated, and they died. And I think he said the number was somewhere close to 100. I just saw on the news this morning that I think that in the United States, in the last 24 hours, last day, and I could be wrong about this, but we had an incredibly high number of kids that were absolutely diagnosed with COVID. An incredibly high number. And someway, Jordan, if you guys would go try to look that up real quick before I'm done here. But I think the number was 100,000, maybe even 200,000. I'm not sure exactly what the number was, but it was a really high number. Just think. The general said, and I want him to say exactly what he said again, but he said he's respectful of people's rights. We all stand for freedom, do we not? Of course we do. But absolutely, these great people, these people were veterans that provided and fought and did everything for our freedoms. Don't they need to be considered? Don't they need to be considered? I mean, for crying out loud, we've lost them as they were transported because we didn't have any hospital space to put them. And they just flashed up here for me, the highest ever, 204,000 new children cases of COVID in the last week. 200,000 in the United States. What's it going to take? What's it going to take for us to get our kids vaccinated? What's it going to take to get you vaccinated? What's it going to take? Is it going to take a bunch of our kids to die? What's it going to take for that to happen? Now, come on. General, please, you close for us with what you said earlier, because I'd love to hear it again, because I may miss it.
Thank you, Governor. So the 109 number is actually 109 people in West Virginia on ventilators. That is 5 above our peak during the last surge. But the point that I made, Governor, related to several stories going around about a U.S. military veteran in one of our southern sister states that is overwhelmed with COVID right now, who, while in transport out of the area because they could not get a hospital bed, passed away from a treatable disease. Again, while I appreciate everyone's rights to make decisions, we also have responsibilities to protect those who have protected our rights by taking on the responsibility to get vaccinated. Thank you, Governor, and thank you for your leadership.
Amen. Thank y'all so much.